That's my default state.
Welcome to another episode of The Bastard Sermon. I'm one of your three hosts, Cody Hucker.
Patrick Feta.
And Luke Young.
God damn it, you have to stop
so
doing that,
much.
Patrick. No more fucking big cheese Seta.
I am the
We're
big cheese.
putting an end to it this episode. You and Carmen both. Where's
I won the
Carmen at?
poll. I'm the big cheese.
Fuck, man.
All right, but tonight.
I refuse to acknowledge this. Yeah, tonight we're having... Tonight we're going to get into the realm of furrydom, or furries. God. And we've got Zephyr and Kenna, a.k.a. Kentaboo, on to explain. Give it up!
Hey. Wow. Fucking rock star over here.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and thanks for not clapping. It's really weird when people clap for themselves.
I had to resist it, yeah. I saw
I did too. I had a thought, like, am I supposed to clap? Or
I feel like no one knows what to do there, you know?
because it's just like, I just see everyone else clapping. I just instinctually like, oh, I just want to do what that person's doing.
My instinctual reaction is just to absorb all the praise possible, just because I'm just that good.
Keep it humble.
I actually disagree with your strategy of not having the guests clap, because then the clap doesn't sound as good on the audio, and most people are listening to it. They're not watching it. So
yeah, but
when
they
don't
claps
hear
for
that
themselves?
big boisterous clap, it sounds like three dicks just in the middle of a cafeteria clapping.
More like 6.
All right,
It's all right.
6.
2 in each hand.
That's true.
3 dicks in the middle of a cafeteria clapping?
Well, not peni. I'm talking people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be
Well, thanks for that
wild.
clarification. We don't
Yeah,
want to
that
taint.
clarification is going to become more and more necessary as the night progresses, I feel like.
Could you
Yeah,
imagine
sure.
that uncomfortable sound? Just 6 dudes just clapping their dicks, just making like an empty
How,
sound in
just
an
back and
auditorium.
Forth? Is that
I've
how
heard
you
it
would get the
before.
clap
I've
going?
heard it in a
No
hotel
idea.
room, but not in an auditorium.
I've heard
Might get
everything
some
in a
different
hotel
acoustics.
room.
So let's get into this. We have a lot of meat of this podcast. Has a lot of meat and cheese.
Chomp.
All right. So you said you went by a different name. So I understand it's like a fursona. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, can you explain what that is exactly for those who don't know?
I would say a fursona is it's kind of like your alter ego in the furry space, and I think that's like the simplest like way to explain it. And it can be an animal that is either real or not real, or one you completely make up. It can be any gender or lack thereof, and it's basically the ideal for a lot of people. It's the idealized self, and that's why they make these personas to represent themselves.
So, one of the things I wanted to go ahead and start by saying is
Eat the mic.
prefacing that...
Get a little bit closer.
a little closer. Here we go. One of the things I wanted to go ahead and preface this was that furry is a pretty diverse, like, in as much as you can call it a subculture or culture in and of itself or a fandom or whatever you want to call it, it's got a lot of faces, and there's a lot of different kinds of people in it. And so I just wanted to go ahead and preface by saying that Kenna and I are very... we're a sect of furry, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that might tune in and they're furries, and they're going to disagree with things we might say, or they're going to have completely different opinions.
That's
But-
it. Yeah, that's interesting. You were saying that. Yeah, go on.
But we are going to give as broad and unbiased opinion of it as we can possibly provide.
Right.
What sect of
For
furries
everybody.
are you guys a part of? Like
I would say queer trans furries.
So, yeah, the queer furry has, a lot of people would call it a combination of nerd culture, art culture, queer counterculture, and there's also like this elements of tech culture, like tech bro stuff. And
What's that?
so think like people who work in IT is like low grade, people who work in Silicon Valley high grade kind of thing, where there's like its own sort of distinct culture of, well, honestly, I don't know, because I'm not one of them, so I don't know.
I got you.
but
It's
from what
something
I
we've seen
understand,
before.
it's people that I've met and
Like, there's a lot of different aesthetics
wear
that you can
too many,
choose.
they wear too
or
many
Yeah.
pocket protectors kind of thing.
I tried like Googling a little bit about this earlier. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier.
You're good.
But I was looking at how deep this community really gets. There was things that I was like, really? I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, that is crazy. So it's very interesting to hear how many different subtypes there are. I think that's really interesting. But go on. What were you about to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, like Kenna said, we're just kind of like, you could call us like a slice out of like queer and art furry kind of thing.
And also trans furries, because I think
kind of under that umbrella, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think trans furry has just such like a unique little subset within its own culture.
Okay.
That I think it's its own genre.
Is
And
there a
we're-
completely different side of this, like a Trump furry? Is there a furry
Yeah,
that
what's
you
that?
hate? Like there's National Socialist furries. What?
What, shut up. Are you
mean?
serious?
You mean you guys aren't all in it together? Like, we're all wearing cat
All right.
costumes.
There are
all
Nazi
around?
furs.
You know what? Let's get
Are
into
you
it.
serious?
I wanted
Get
to wait.
into this.
I wanted to wait
Dead
on this, but I'm
serious.
going to get into it now.
Let's start.
I don't like the Cincinnati furry community.
All right.
I don't.
How-
There's certain people in it that there's a lot of them are
I
just
didn't
they're
know
pretty
that
nice.
there was one.
there is.
I really didn't know that either.
You
Go
know,
ahead,
I'm
Luke.
kind of upset to hear that because all the different communities that we've interviewed and had on this show, it turns out to be such a wide and amazing and accepting culture, and then you're just like,
And it largely is. It largely is. There is a subsect of those that are they're conservative furries, and it's one of those
That
things that's
doesn't
just
make
like
sense.
Do they go to Trump rallies in the giraffe costume and everything?
Some of them do. I mean,
No
there's
fucking way.
there's furries that there's the Nazi furs.
Nazi
This
furs?
is-
Nazi furs.
And they're called either Nazi furs or alt furs.
Are
But
they only German
Alt-right.
Shepherds? They're only allowed to be German Shepherds.
there's so many German Shepherd furries who turn out to have cop personas or something.
and
like
it's
that.
like,
It's really.
I mean,
So-
cute, but
We'll get into that. But Trump furries.
Yeah. Oh
So-
well, it goes deeper than that because like, there's people who will
Up to the mic.
dress up in these they'll dress up in their fursuit, which they'll just dress up in their fursuit and then they'll put on this armband that was like made and styled after the Nazi armband from.
But instead of
Germany.
a
Is
there like a
swastika, is a
paw?
paw print.
There is
No
a
fucking
paw.
way.
Pull up on
What
the
the fuck?
thing. Look up what's the ones?
Furry
No,
Raiders.
yeah, look up Furry Raiders
Furry
because that's
Raiders?
one of the
How
groups.
angry
The
does
Furred
this make
Reich?
y'all as like
Furred
trans
Reich.
furries? How
It's
angry
fucking
does it make you that the
ridiculous that
Nazis
we have this kind of shit. I can't believe Nazi
are-
Furs has their
Furred
own
Reich?
wiki
They
fur.
call it the Furred Reich? Get the fuck out of here.
I think that's just what that reporter called it, but points for an awesome headline.
yeah.
So, are there like is the furred right
That
in
kicks
Cincinnati? Would you say?
So I wouldn't say so.
There was one.
Oh.
I don't want to say his name, but remember the one who was in the Discord one that, like the one you and I met at the bull meet, and they were kind of like a little bit weird and a little bit
Are you
standoffish.
gonna talk about that one that turned out to be drawing like lolly porn and shit?
You're gonna have to narrow it down.
Oh my god!
No.
Yeah, that asshole.
That is.
Is that the
oh,
leader?
you guys know him?
Is that the leader?
I
He
don't
is-
know him personally,
You
but
know
I have
him.
talked to him
I was gonna
a long time in the past. His name is Foxler Nightfire, and he is the founder of the Furry Raiders. And I'm comfortable
such a
talking
dumbass.
about him because he's a public figure, and he has wanted to be a public figure. Now,
Like
What the
but
fuck?
as a furred right.
yeah, he started this thing called the Furry Raiders, and they say that they're an organization like dedicated to acceptance and tolerance and love, but they dress up in Nazi uniforms.
They're the Proud
which-
Boys of the furries, right?
You know what?
that
Good
what's
enough
happening?
because
Except
they
they don't
like
have
to. What's he really known for? What did he end up getting in trouble for? Fucking grooming.
Being a Nazi?
Grooming little kids and
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Oh,
online
and
usually.
and zoophilia.
Yeah, and zoophilia. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
But that's
God damn.
this is just
What
such,
happened?
Oh my god.
Zoophile is somebody that fucks animals.
Yeah, I know, but what happened?
I like it's like just in
I
case you
think
didn't
he
know.
actually got.
What's his
picked
name?
up
Can we
for
look
it.
him up?
Yeah, look up his criminal record.
I'm pretty sure I have seen it, but I don't remember his real name, so I don't.
It's Foxler Nightfire.
I don't
is
wanna-
his. That's just like a sliver of like a tiny like the furry fandom has hundreds of thousands, if not like millions of people, and maybe like 200 of them are Nazi furs. And yeah, and I would say the number of queer furs vastly outnumbers intolerant furs. In fact, the community is majority queer.
Foxler Nightfire.
Yeah.
This guy's real.
They're a really
He's a
weird
Nazi.
minority to have
such a
an accepting
very specific.
group.
And he's got the black shirt on, you know, trying to.
He's really trying.
He really is.
How many followers?
Lord, he's out here doing the most.
How many followers do you have on Twitter?
More than you do.
No way I've seen that fursuit head before.
1,700.
Click
blue
that. The blue one. I've seen him.
that?
I don't know.
Oh,
Is
wow.
it?
For those who can't see, it's a picture of Foxler Nightfire
They can't see that. I forgot.
and another furry,
They
blue
can.
furry. They're all wearing clothes. With
They're all wearing clothes.
they're all wearing.
Don't
well,
get
I mean,
your
like
hopes up.
it's just like they just seem they're wearing like fursuits.
Crimes
Isn't this hot?
erased.
Isn't
They're
this
wearing
really
clothes.
hot? But there's like a whole background and stuff behind it. And, yeah.
That's a gorgeous view, though.
Yeah.
It's just ruined by a terrible person.
Oh my god.
Oh, scroll up. That's Mio Yiannopoulos' fursona.
Milo Yiannopoulos has a fursona?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys
We
had a
get to
story
talk about this
this.
too.
Yeah.
How
We're
so-
just going right down the bottom of the rabbit hole.
I think that's
love
what
it.
the
Let's talk.
intention was. So,
Fuck
yeah.
it.
This is a good time.
I'm glad you're having
I want to talk about every aspect of this. I don't want to.
We're gonna
Absolutely.
try. We're gonna
garbage.
try.
We can
Super
talk
deep.
about the stuff that you guys really care about.
Right, but I'm pretty sure people really will want to hear this now that now that his name is spoken. We can't really put that back in the jar. So Milo, you know, alt-right personality guy. He's
Disgraced alt-right personality.
Yeah.
He figured out a way to be disgraced by the alt-right, if that gives you an idea of how much of a piece of shit this person is.
Okay. So anyway, he said he was going to go to one of the biggest conventions that we have
What is it?
so
Midwest
Fur
Furfest.
Right.
That was in synchronicity. Wow.
That was
I
awesome.
love that thing.
So conventions are just like the mecca that people treat for the furry culture, fandom, whatever you want to call it. That's just what people like will congregate at. And MFF is held in Chicago. It's one of the biggest ones. I think they pulled last year like 10,000 people.
It's the biggest one in the world, I think.
Right. So he says he posts on, I don't know, Google Plus, whatever the fuck he's using nowadays, that he is going to go to MFF. He's posts his registration information, whatever. This guy has like gone to like universities and stuff and basically got mobs of people to harass other people, and like everyone who caught wind of this was like, hey, MFF people and higher ups, can you not let this person come, because we don't feel safe going here if this guy's going to be here. And MFF, to their credit, we're like, yeah, well, we got to pull this guy's registration because like he's just known for being a menace. He's known for terrorizing people that
Milo
are
starts a
close
lot of
to us.
shit.
Yes, I'm glad you.
I've only
glad
heard
you
bad
recognize.
things about this person.
I'm familiar with Milo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's just a garbage fire of a human.
He's a
And,
wackadoodle.
like, there was, and when he talked about getting his registration pulled, he was like, well, I have 2 hotel rooms that are already registered, and you just offended this big important person that I am. And it's like, I
A lot
remember
of
replying to that
posturing,
tweet. It was just like, did you book the hotel rooms with your $2 million in debt? Because he's not exactly flush with cash right now.
Which is funny because then he says that he's going to try to get the Proud Boys to come to Chicago this year because he's so mad about getting booted from a furry convention. And really, I think that just says more about how far he's fallen than more his own like influence and power.
And really, who's going to win? 10,000 furries or 2 very proud boys?
So it's,
All those
funny.
claws, the sharp teeth. I know who's on.
All the rabies?
Know where I'm putting my money.
All the scabies.
All the
Is there scabies? Is that a?
Oh,
Okay.
God.
scales, there's scabies,
I
there's
don't know how dirty
rabies.
these costumes actually got.
Scale-
Oh my
Scalies?
god! I hope.
Scalies,
Yeah,
yeah.
I read about that today. What's a scaly?
So, funny thing, furry as its own entity, kind of has like different names for different, like, whatever creature you might choose as your fursona or whatever word you want to use. And scalies is just usually the term used for people who choose, like, lizards and turtles. And
What about cats? Are they
dragons.
called meow boys? Or
Meow boys?
girls?
No. they're
Some
just called
people might-
cats.
Meowie boys?
They're
Some
just
people
called cats.
might refer to themselves that way. I mean, there was a lewd account that I came across on Twitter once where he called himself a fuck cat, like in place of a fuck boy.
I think that is going to be what I just call myself from now on, is a fuck cat.
But you don't even have a cat persona.
That's true.
You have a dragon.
That's true. I am a dragon.
Yeah.
Do
So
the fuck cats have like fuck cat face tattoos and stuff on their costume and stuff like that?
No.
Real douchey things.
I don't know.
No, they
Most fursuits are, the thing about fursuits is that they're expensive. Most people.
How much are they usually?
So if you're not making your own, assuming that you don't have the, if you're like me and Kenna and don't have the cash or the talent to make your own, they can cost, from a really good maker, anywhere from $1,000 up.
I picture
the
like
full
$5,000 or something for one of
It
those
can
things.
be.
It can get that high pretty
they're-
easily.
they're-
That's an
I've-
easy price.
Anytime
Oh,
I've ever
wow.
gone to a convention and I see someone wearing these suits, I'm like blown away that they have like stilts and stuff, and like it's crazy how like intricate they are.
There was one time when we were at Anthrocon, and I think even at MFF, that this person had like a dragon a fursuit with like wings and stuff on it, but underneath the fur was these little light strips, like these little LED lights that could be independently controlled by a computer.
Up to the
So
mic.
like,
Oh wow! You
Yeah.
can move that. You can move that if you need to.
yeah.
You can pull it
Yeah,
towards
you can
like
pull
it.
it. Yeah.
But like she
I'm not going to try pulling on
she had yeah, it looks like it's about to fall apart. She had just
rude.
all of these like
She's right.
fantastic like color like light patterns on, like her fur was white and underneath it was just like, whenever
I'm trying
you
to
see,
find their name right now real quick, because I used to follow them on Twitter. I don't remember if I do anymore.
but have you ever seen like a set of Christmas lights that got stuck under the snow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
They
that.
glow a little bit.
But they're independently controlled by LEDs, so it's just like
It's got like a
waves
whole
of-
circuit board inside the suit.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
and it's a high quality fursuit. And of course I got a selfie with her. That was like 2 years ago, so I have no idea where that selfie is now, but she tends to get
Here.
a lot of pictures.
Pat, I'm
Yeah.
gonna send it. I'm gonna send it.
Send
to
it to
you.
the group,
Yeah,
and we can look it up.
I'm gonna a picture of it because I couldn't find the actual post.
So with so the
Do you mind pulling it up?
the scabies or scalies?
Scalies.
Scalies.
Do you know
Sorry.
there's bug
The
ones?
scalies. Do dragons fall underneath that category, or
Hell
do you?
yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, when it comes to like language around identification, and
Yes.
for even just for yourself, especially when it comes to like gender stuff or orientation,
Of
or
course.
anything like that. In as much as language is kind of this not immutable thing where it can kind of fluctuate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing about like what your persona is going to be, kind of thing. Oh, right, I'm sending you a picture. Hang on.
Are you gonna send it to
Oh.
the chat with Patrick?
Yeah.
How do you turn these notification things off so that we
I
don't
have
hear?
no
it?
idea.
Hold on, I'm gonna figure this out in the background really quickly.
I would say scalies is not necessarily a group in and of itself. It's just kind of
Right.
like an affectionate nickname for
Yeah.
people who have dragon fursonas. And
Right.
it makes sense that someone would want to identify themselves as a scaly rather than a furry, because if all of your fursonas are lizards and dragons and snakes
And bugs.
yeah, bugs. I've
Bugs.
seen a lot of bug fursonas and they're pretty.
Are they also texture different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the fursuits, if you can get a hold of them, I've seen fursuits with like a carving pattern in the fur that is designed to mimic scales. I've seen
There's this really good fursuit of a velociraptor with like feathers and everything all down its back. It's
Oh, wow.
fucking phenomenal.
This is your costume?
oh no.
No, holy
okay.
shit though.
That
Holy
looks
fucking
insane.
shit.
right?
That's like
Imagine
an
seeing
angel
that.
furry.
That's insane.
Right. This person walked past us at MFF, I think, a couple years ago.
Imagine seeing that at the rave, which they totally have at furry cons, by the way.
Were y'all tripping
Did
balls
peop-
when you saw this?
Yes.
Yeah, I was. Oh yeah, that would be so fucking cool. But
I
also,
should tell you
like,
my LSD
is this
story.
furry god coming down to take me to furry heaven?
I
had
had to
thoughts
be
like
her
that.
mentor when she decided to drop acid.
Am I allowed
at
to talk
a
about
furry
that? I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah,
anyway.
why not?
Good.
No,
long as
I
absolutely
love.
not.
I absolutely
Yeah, you can,
love
yeah.
sharing trip stories.
Oh my
If you
god.
don't
This is
care,
a
we don't
Christian
then.
server.
What?
Oh,
No,
yeah,
you
if
can
you
talk
don't
about
care
whatever.
About the stories, we don't. Go ahead.
Okay. I almost just pulled my damn headphones off. I think your legs are wrapped around my.
Oh.
Thank you.
All right, but yeah, LSD and furries.
Okay, so I guess we'll just get into the LSD story. It's a good one. We have a friend out. He lives out in California named Matty, and Matty is.
Go ahead.
That's not his real name. That's not
For
his real
Sona?
name.
Yeah.
So
No one knows who you're talking about.
no one knows who I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Up to
that what
Mike.
you were tapping me for?
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
the last name rhyme with?
I don't even remember.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so our friend out there, he's got this. He's like this dog for something. He's like a mutt, and just like this like mutt that's dressed up in like the pink tinted round hippie shades, and he's always wearing like this big fluffy like dog hat kind of looking thing. He just looks. He's got this like scraggly beard, fucking hot as hell, and he just, he looks like he's done lots of drugs in his life, and he has. And this past year at MFF, which is held in first weekend of December up in Rosemont of Chicago area, we were all up there, and he was up there too, and he was like, "Hey, you guys want to try LSD?" And I had never done it, and it's like, sure. Kenna didn't want to do it
Because I was already drunk.
you were drunk at that point.
Not the time to take LSD.
Yeah,
was
I
drunk,
didn't. I
too.
didn't want to mix.
I took it
I didn't want to
anyway.
cross the streams.
So, goodness gracious. I take it, and we go down to the floor, and one of the things that's just happening like constantly throughout the whole weekend is that fursuiters are just on the like hotel main lobby area, just kind of walking around, saying hi to their friends, and it's just one of those like beautiful things about the fandom that's just like there is no one like IP or like a comic book convention where you have lots of different like intellectual properties and brands. You don't really have that so much. It's all kind of made by the people who are there. Like Fursonas can have entire like backstories and character arcs and shit like that, and people can follow along with that kind of thing. So we go down there, and we're just looking at all the Fursonas walking around, and starting to feel pretty good. We're all like, hey, let's all go to the rave thing that they're throwing down there. You can hear like this loud EDM music just thumping around just constantly in the background somewhere.
There's furries dancing everywhere.
dancing everywhere.
Drunk furries.
It was a good time.
Oh yeah.
God, and around when the there you go. When the patterns on everything started kind of swirling around is about when we go into this big dark auditorium, with laser lights flashing everywhere and big fuzzy creatures like our friend over here, just everywhere, and we just kind of separate, and like our own group kind of separates. We're all just kind of dancing and just having a fucking good ass time. I'm throughout this process getting more and more of the acid. Just I'd swallowed the tab a long time ago, so now I'm just like, woo, having a really good time.
And so was our friend. Like they were feeling more of the effects, but they were kind of having a bad trip. Like I could tell just by looking in their face that they just weren't.
No, you're talking about V, right?
Yeah.
They were having a good time. What they were doing was just standing still and just letting like their muscle fibers just. You didn't do acid, so you don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like, man. On the other side,
It's a good time.
I've never done drugs
Luke
in my
and
life.
I just locked eyes, like
It's a good time.
Luke, would you ever do acid at the Midwest Fur Fest?
Without question.
hell yeah.
Who doesn't want to
Yes.
drop
Imagine
acid
Imagine
around
coming across this
furries?
thing, coming across this guy and the tripping balls at
across
the
this
Midwest
angel.
Fur Fest. Oh my god!
I
Oh,
actually-
Take you
intense.
home.
So what else happened with your trip?
So the next thing is so there are a lot of people who are actually like they're dancers and they're involved in furry, like
dancing in the suits.
Some of them dance in the suits. Some of them are just dancers and they just go to furry conventions just because it's like there's not a lot of places that you just have raves going on, I guess, and like I guess that's just a good place to be for them. I don't know. I'm not really in the scene or anything. But anyway, so there's a lot of people who dance. And so at the front of the rave that was going on, they had like, you know, the pit. And so I approached the circle of the pit and like people just jump in the pit, do fucking crazy ass dance. You know, it kind of washes over you when you're blazed and really fucked up. So I'm watching this, and I'm coming closer and closer to the edge, just like, it's really mesmerizing, you know, just watching people just jump in, do all these crazy-ass dance moves, and like, wow. And there's like this weird fog, a fog of war has rolled in, and, you know, it's just really wild. And at some point, I'm sitting in there, there's two girls in front of me, and I'm kind of like over their shoulder. And all of a sudden, a pair of glasses skitter across the floor to their feet. One of them picks them up, looks at the other girl, and like the three of them just kind of like the three of us just looked at each other for a second. And they were like, "What do we do?" I just like, so I'm like, I take the glasses. Once the pit is clear, I just move in. Like, somebody lost some glasses, and like. I don't know enough about like dance. Like I said, I'm not in that culture or anything, but I always felt like I made a huge faux pas that day when I stepped in, like someone lost their glasses and just like looking at everybody, you know, the sea of faces around me. Eventually I see someone doing that thing, the cut off gesture, like get the fuck out of here. And I turn around at one point, a pair of like feet just flew past my face as someone's doing like this crazy break dance. And I'm like, guess I'm done here. At some point, I don't even know what happened to the glasses. They were just kind of taken from my hands at some point, and I went back into the crowd to dance some more.
Did you have your fursuit on?
I don't have a fursuit.
Do either of you have fursuits?
No.
Sorry.
If I had to give a rough estimate of proportionally how many furries have fursuits, I would say it's less than 1/5.
I would say it's 10 to 15%.
Because fursuits are just prohibitively expensive.
Right.
You know, and
Can you start with like a pair of gloves though? Like,
oh yeah, a lot of people, like Kenna has a tail. We couldn't find it before we came over. We were thought about bringing it.
Yeah, and plus it would have been uncomfortable to sit in. I wouldn't have any place to put my big bushy tail.
Big bushy tail.
I've noticed, I wanted to bring this up before. There was like different kinds of tails. There's ones that go onto the belt, and then there's others that are inserted.
You shove it right up in your anus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting one of those.
You can't wear those on, you know, in the hotel lobby because it is, you know, in the public.
But I mean, how would they know if you have your pants pulled up too?
Well, what's the point? No one can see it.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, like the cons have their fair share of like, you know, sexual antics and things like that, but the public space of a con, it's pretty PG-13 mostly. Like, you don't see any like really crazy people like going around like
it's
stark
PG
naked.
during the day and PG-13 at night.
Well, at night, is it like that CSI episode, Fur and Loathing?
No, god
like
damn, that
furries
CSI
and
episode.
Is that an iconic furry episode?
It really
that
is.
just never
It's like
watched
furries
before?
hate it. That's why I brought it up.
10 years old or
They
some
fucking
shit.
hate it, right? You guys
Yeah,
are not
and it's
fans?
like the story
It was
is
just
like
kind of like, it's one of those things where it's just like, they only got a brief glimpse of what we're doing here and just like extrapolated it from there. You know, one of those kinds of things.
And like they made an episode and they accused us of, you know, getting up in fursuits and just
2008.
fucking each other. And it's like, I've never
God.
been so called out, you know?
Can we watch a clip from the Fur and Loathing so that the
hell
people
yeah.
that don't know get an idea of what this is?
Yes, I have a question as soon as we're done watching it.
Is it about LSD?
No.
Is it about furries?
I'm about to prepare for another job myself.
He almost took. Wait,
I mistook it tonight.
yeah, he almost took a tab tonight for the episode.
For the episode, yeah.
Oh, man, I would have just been jealous.
You're
the whole
about to
time.
have a good time, buddy. You're going to learn about animals.
I might do it
people.
tomorrow.
Oh my god,
after
that's
work.
such a shitty fursuit. Yeah. It looks like a 3-year-old made it.
At
Hey,
Farmers
who knows,
Insurance,
maybe-
we know a thing or
maybe
two
one
because
day.
we've
We're not sponsored by farmers. Fuck you, farmers. You didn't pay us shit for this.
Fuck you, farmers. Ba ba da ba 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 ba.
I like that. That might be our new logo or new slogan. Why didn't I pull this up on YouTube? This is my fault. All right, ignore me for a minute.
You're the worst
Fuck am I
person
doing?
ever.
Luke, what is your question while we're doing that?
So you had said that there's character arcs and development with each person. Well, some personas.
Sure.
And then we had a picture of that like crazy like rainbow phoenix wolf like thing. I'm sure that wasn't phase 1, right?
I'm
like,
sure it
was there
wasn't.
like a lead up with the inside of
Oh,
like the character
definitely.
development? Like
Yeah.
he didn't start that way, and he
I'm
eventually came
sure.
into
I don't
the
know
suit.
that character myself.
But
so
is
I
that
don't know.
typically how it goes?
Oh,
with,
sure,
with
yeah.
the first
There's like a whole background, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
Of the whole. We'll get into that right after this video, so we don't,
I
because that's
didn't
a
know
deep
this shit
subject.
was so old because you were like, I was like, there's no way it's that fucking old. And then I was like, 11 years ago? Like, I thought this shit happened.
That's when that was uploaded.
Years. That's true.
The episode was aired in 2003.
Was it 2003?
Yeah.
Wow.
But now,
See,
how
look at you
how
saying
long
you
has
didn't
furry
prepare.
culture been around? Well, let's watch this.
Well, we're
Hold
gonna
on.
get into
We'll
it.
get
Hold
into
on,
that.
we'll get
Yeah, we'll get into some history.
This is Sexy Kitty. The fursuit.
Excuse me.
Fully blue with,
I'm
like,
Catherine Willows. I'm with the crime lab.
And the cat's like 16 feet tall for some reason.
It's just displaying
Stilts.
the furries as like fuck creatures the whole episode, basically, right?
Yep. I like these people just sitting down, just hanging out.
What con
just
is like that, where they're just like,
none?
yeah, no one's.
I guess we're
fucking
lucky
sitting
that
here.
blue's not a more popular color.
Hello.
Oh gosh.
This is
These
racial
fursuits are so
profiling.
old.
We're going to need samples of your fur.
We're also going to need to talk to you without the masks.
What?
What?
Are these good fur costumes?
No.
No.
Not really.
What's wrong with them? Why are they bad?
They're-
We just saw that
Like
picture of
mascot
the
costumes,
angel
right?
EDM wolf.
Look, yeah,
compared to
compare
this.
and contrast.
That's true. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Now,
That's
to be fair,
To be fair,
there are 13 years between that costume and the Dutch Angel Dragon
right.
that had
Was that Phoenix glowy thing?
I think she's a Dutchie.
I have no fucking clue.
Looks
I feel
like a
Dutchie
Dutchie.
is also a slur. I don't think we should say that on air. I'm just kidding.
Dutchie?
Who's we gonna offend? The Dutch?
Yes, they're coming for us.
They're not listening.
So you guys know the name of
if
that
they are,
one?
email us.
Of
You
who?
Dutchie weirdos.
That rainbow creature.
I don't. I
that
am
I was
sorry.
talking about. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I can tell you're enamored by this creature, but
That
I
thing
wish-
was crazy looking.
I'm gonna be a furry
You
by
know,
the end of this
I'm-
episode. guarantee.
I should have also prefaced by saying,
We
you know,
have
a lot of
screen
people who
capture, they'll
talk about
agree.
furries in a positive light end up being like, wow, that looks like fun. I want to do that too. So beware.
Bro, if I ever get a suit, I'm wearing it on the show.
If you ever
You
get
should.
a what?
You should
should
send me
wear them
pictures
when
as
on
soon
the
as you
show.
get your suit because I love
I wish I
fursuits.
could find that person's name.
How
now. I
mad
could
would you
use
be
this
at
all.
Luke if he bought a $1,200 fursuit and
I
y'all like
would.
really love the culture and really explore it and then
See,
Like he just
out of
got
nowhere
into
I'd be
it.
happy
he bought
for
it.
him.
today, like I'm getting a fursuit and he buys it.
I give Luke
That's
a big
up to
hug.
him.
I hate him. I'd be like, fucking piece of shit.
Hey,
See,
I'll
there's
rob
no.
his house and steal his fursuit.
It's not like there's like posers. I mean, maybe there's people who. Will
oh no,
do
there's
that,
posers. The
I
people who buy their
suppose.
costumes off eBay.
but I
and-
don't think.
Well,
Luke
how are
is
they
a poser.
posers?
Well, like those fursuits are like usually ripped off from like somebody's original fursuit.
Which ones?
So
You're
they
talking
steal
about
a
the
design,
ones.
is what you mean?
You're talking about the ones that can be like bought from like China and shit. right?
Exactly, like
Okay.
bought in bulk, and they'll usually just copy someone's character. It's actually not uncommon for companies to rip off characters and try to sell them off. Like, but if you see a really crappy fursuit that someone just put on that doesn't really look that good and it looks kind of samey to a bunch of other fursuits like it, it was probably bought in bulk.
You judge them.
Yes, because they're stealing character art.
There's no originality to it.
Where did you guys
There's
get
no
your
soul.
character art?
This was by a lovely.
Is that hand drawn?
Yes, it is.
Oh wow,
Yeah, of course.
that's crazy looking.
If you want to look at it, you can.
I'd love
Yeah.
to.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, let's tell them what these
This is
are.
heavy.
So furries that don't wear suits, and a lot of them that do, will commission these badges, which is just like someone's like a character's like face or head, or like a headshot or whatever.
Or we're just showing it for the camera.
Yeah.
A little bit lower, Cody.
Let me get mine in there.
Yeah, right there.
Oh yeah,
So these are the fursonas for you.
close enough.
This is okay.
That's one of her fursonas.
Yeah, you can
I
have
read
more
about
than
that.
one.
That you can have more than one fursona. How many? I mean,
Hell
what's
yeah.
the limit? Is there a limit?
No, it's
10.
Multiple personality disorder.
It is
Personality
illegal to
disorder.
have more than 10
You're
Dissociative
kicked out of the
fursuits.
community if you're
disorder.
past 10.
The founder of furries will burst into your door and just
Yeah, we'll send a Foxler
Is there
to
a
come get
founder
you.
of furries?
Okay.
Okay, we were gonna talk about history, but I
I want
forgot
to talk
to mention.
about history. I do.
Yeah.
I
wanted
like
to learn more
3
about
things.
Let's talk about the. We scatter. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
So
know,
many
it's
things.
Let's
okay.
just go into the fursonas and then we'll go into the history of it.
So yeah,
should we talk about our fursonas?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that start?
Let's
Let's start from the
I
beginning.
keep getting started on one thing. And
I'm sorry.
stopping.
That's us.
This one.
I can-
All right.
I
Let
can
her talk
start-
about that one. Okay.
Okay.
We'll talk about. I just want to talk about what these are because
Yes.
these are badges, and badges are just things that demonstrate someone's character. Would you say that's a pretty good?
Yeah, it's kind of like a name tag, except a much more creative spin on it. I
Yeah,
would say.
and so if you're going to like a fur convention or a fur meetup or whatever have you, is that better?
Sorry.
There we go.
So
there you go.
So you might not know someone's real name, of course, or a lot of people. Furry is a very online based, fandom. So you might not know what someone looks like really, or a really good idea of what they look like. And so this is just a good way of, meeting like your pal Zilbaz or Kentaboo at the furry convention. I hear some noises.
So sorry
Yeah,
about
so
that.
do I.
We're
What's
having
happening?
I have no idea.
It's CSI Miami.
Oh, it is.
it's that
Oh,
cat's,
it's CSI Miami.
it's the cat's fur
It's that
rubbing
meow
against
boy.
the microphone.
Wait, what happened?
You want to pause it real quick?
Maybe it's this.
Sorry about that.
Maybe there's a cable going bad. I had that happen once in broadcasting class.
It might be that one because
Yeah.
that's the one with the tape on it. I don't know
I
if
know
our listeners can hear
things.
what we're talking about at all, but we
We'll
do
cut
have.
it out.
But can we talk about our personas?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
wanna talk
sorry
your
about that,
persona?
guys.
You talk about your persona.
So, really, contrary to popular belief, like, not everyone's fursona has like a hard and fast like background lore to it or
Yeah.
like an origin story. Kentaboo is kind of just like my alias in the fandom, and really, like, I just kind of make her up as I go along. She did not look like this when I joined the furry fandom back in late 2016, and in fact, she used to be a man, just like me. And, well, she used to look like a man, I should say.
You're a trans?
I am a transgender. One whole entire transgender right here. And then there's 2 of us.
I want to keep talking about this, absolutely, but we have to cut off and take a break.
I was
for a
gonna
second.
say
Break.
we're
gotta
gonna have
fix
to
this.
This thing is really fucking with me, and I gotta. Sorry, guys. Technical
starting
break.
difficulties. We'll be right back.
drive me crazy. Okay.
All right, we're back. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Kenna was just talking about being transgender before we cut everything off because we kept hearing that sound.
And how it relates to being furry.
Right back to it.
Well, thank you. So, I guess I'll just go from the beginning.
Yeah,
but
let's just start.
I joined the furry fandom right around late 2016 when I was in kind of like an unhappy relationship, and I was, by all appearances, a straight male who was about to be engaged to this attractive young woman who was really Catholic. It just wasn't a good mix. But, I didn't know any better about myself at that time. And then I decided that I really wanted, kind of a group to run around with, like, a posse, if you will. So, of course, the first thing that came to my mind was furries. But then I made Kentaboo in this game called Second Life, which is this online virtual reality social network that's just packed to the top with furries. Like, it's one of the main places furries meet each other. And
Do they have like their animal for Sona like avatar as well?
Right.
Yeah, and that's
okay.
actually how I created Kentaboo. See, she is a creature that's like called a crux, which there's like a bunch of like lore behind it, but she's a fictitious creature that's like some mixture between a fox and a bat. And that's why, you know, she's got like the curly ears, but she's got like the canine features and the canine teeth and stuff like that. But she also has a big curly tail, and she has pink stripes all over her purple fur. Just crazy shit. And I designed her that way because that was already a type of character that you could get in Second Life without paying any money. So I figured,
So you were over there talking about getting fursuits from China.
yeah.
And then stealing intellectual property.
Okay, well, I actually got
Called
this
out.
for free
I love you.
because the artist released it for free.
I know.
So there's a difference. There's a difference.
I just want to make sure that it's brought up. And also, I would like to also say Second Life is not as popular as it used to be just because it's such an old thing. Like, I think
It's really like
for our
decade old.
age group, it might be a little bit more popular, and we are very particular kinds of people.
Right.
But I don't know if it's popular amongst like regular furries or anything.
Probably not any furry that's younger than 30, you know, but for furries in our age group, you know, I've actually met a
Varies,
vast
but-
majority of like a lot of, like, I've met more people in real life from Second Life than in any other like game or platform.
Is that interesting when you actually meet them in person? I feel like
Yeah.
that's always super weird whenever you meet someone you know online specifically, and then you meet them in person.
There's a lot of nerves that work up to it because like there's this fear whenever and when you're meeting this new person online, they can be anywhere from a mile to 1,000 miles away, and it's just like the whole time you're heading over there, you just got like butterflies in your stomach. Like, how's this gonna go? Like, is this person gonna be as fun as they are, like, you know, face to face as they are in real life? But yeah, I've met a lot of people that way, and the vast majority I've had a fantastic time with. And, you know, I haven't had any really super negative experiences from people I've met in real life that I originally met in Second Life, because I'm usually pretty choosy about the people I meet. I like to make sure that, you know,
You're not going to meet a serial killer.
Yeah.
exactly. And but yeah, so I made Kenaboo in Second Life, and at the time when I started, Kentaboo was a male, and I, you know, flat chested, you know, I dressed, you know, Kentaboo up in male clothes, like these cargo shorts, this big hoodie, because that's who I was at the time. And, you know, then I started kind of having like, you know, trans feelings. And
Which for you, that was a recurring thing.
it was a recurring thing. It wasn't the first time I was dealing with it, because I had known that I was trans since about 2012. And around 2017, when we first got together, is when I finally like decided to try, like I brought it up to you, and, you know, I felt comfortable with it because A, you're trans, and B, I met you through the furry fandom, which is probably another story we're gonna have to tell.
Definitely the next story. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And yeah, so I told her about it, and she was completely supportive, you know.
The person you were about to marry, you said?
Of course, yeah.
We weren't about to marry back then.
We were pretty new. I would say it was actually only a couple weeks into our relationship where I was just like, by the way, I might be trans. Sorry. No, but it was never like an issue at all. And in fact, it actually seemed to bring us closer together. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, so I was kind of having some gender feelings that weren't really like a solid identity yet. And I'm an artist, so I like to draw my feelings out. Like, I just like to draw the most random shit, you know, and occasionally I'll draw Kentaboo, and she's my favorite character to draw because I know how to draw her really well. And yeah, like that one in the field, in that big prairie field, that one wasn't from that time period, but that's probably my favorite thing I've drawn of her.
Right now we're looking at her page where there was a bunch of different art he has made.
Yeah, and I was really happy with how that one turned out. But yeah, the first time I drew Kentaboo as a girl was like 2 years ago, and I drew her as part of like an artist challenge where somebody posted a picture of somebody in a cute like schoolgirl outfit, and they were like, draw your first Sona in this. So I did it. And when I saw Kentaboo as a woman, I was like, I'm not going back, am I? So yeah, I wound up just kind of rolling with it, and Kentaboo just kind of became a girl. And I kind of grew with Kentaboo because all the things that I kind of wanted on myself, like the piercings and the fashion sense, and I guess maybe how I perceive her personality a tiny bit, although I don't really know what that's supposed to be other than just me. And I just kind of made it a part of me. And that's why she's like, I feel a really near and dear connection to this Sona because I've worked on her for basically like 3 years. And actually, both of these pictures are about a year or so old. And I think I might be getting a new badge. But yeah, like Kentaboo started out as a boy, and then I just wanted her to be a girl, so she became a girl. Then I became a girl. And
Do you think Kentaboo helped you transition?
oh, definitely. The furry fandom helped me transition because like it's this big gathering of queer nerds. It's like, what better place for me? Because I'm both of those things. And Kentaboo definitely kind of helped solidify my personal identity. And
The first time that you ever, I think, wore like feminine clothing and makeup, I think, was at Anthrocon.
it was.
So one of their conventions that is held in Pittsburgh, previously one of the biggest conventions before MFF kind of surpassed them.
I'd say it's like number 2 biggest. It's pretty close up there.
I'd say number 2, yeah.
But yeah, Zephyr and I went to Anthrocon, but I think 3 weeks after we started dating.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's about right.
It was great, amazing time.
Yeah. And
yeah.
this is a very heartwarming episode of The Bastard. So for everyone at home.
We've had some deep episodes, though, so let's get into it.
Well, then I guess we're going to talk about the really sappy story about me and Kenna, especially how we met.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that night was fucking crazy. God, I almost got into fights. I almost got, like, abducted, I think, by some weird drunk guy. There was people crying. People were
Lots
trying
of stories.
to fight. This was all just one night.
One night?
This was one night.
Let's get into it.
So we'll tell it from my perspective, I guess. Around 2017, like spring of 2017. So the Cincinnati Furry group, the one I mentioned earlier, I don't really like that much for reasons I'm not even gonna get too much into. But anyway, I was, I was living with roommates at the time. This was before Ken and I met, So I'm living with roommates, not really sure, kind of like, I don't know, what the fuck am I doing? I'm single, blah, blah, blah. That, the bullshit. The bullshit.
Yep.
Anyway, and so my roommates are like, hey, we're going to a fur meet in Cincinnati. I was living in Dayton, so it was like an hour drive. And they were like, yeah, come along, have a good time. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like, hey, I guess I'm going. And then I think I had to drive myself and like 4 other people in my car down to Western Bowl is where we held it.
In Western Hills.
Western Hills, yeah, the bowl.
The one that's
bowling
connected to
alley.
the Mexican food restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You go up there and
So
pay
there's
like $55 for a fucking gallon-sized margarita.
Yeah,
I've
it's
been there. I know what you're talking
ridiculous.
about.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They give you like a giant ass jug,
Oh man.
basically.
I wish I drank.
Giant glasses.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's not as good as you'd think.
No, I drank. I've drank before, but I have really bad acid reflux, so can't really do it much.
Yeah, I gotcha. Anyways, you
So
met there.
yeah, so I drive down there, and yeah, I'm looking fucking fly as hell that night. Got like my makeup done actually like super good and shit, and like I'm just like top of my game and shit, and walking in and on all these like dorks, and I'm like, God, scanning them and all, like, I don't really know if I even belong here, kind of thing. I don't know. I always feel, and that's just a classical Zephyr thing, is just feeling like I'm a little out of place here, aren't I? And that just kind of cropped up that night too. Anyway, so I'm like, I guess I'll go to the bar area and get a couple drinks, you know, get a little bit like, start mingling with people, talking, and I look over and I see this one particular really dorky looking dude hanging out with a couple of his friends, and I'm thinking, wow, these people must come here like all the time and just, you know, have fun. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I never brought this up earlier, but I'm someone who did not have a lot of friends until like, you know, in the past like couple years is when I've actually become a sociable person. But I, you know, kind of like mingling around for a little bit longer. I go down to get another drink, and this dude just like comes up behind me. He's like, "Hey, you're looking really pretty. You want to go in my car?" And he's just like fucking drunk off his ass, and I'm like, nope. And I'm like, was this guy one of the furry group? Because, you know, we're like in our own little area. There's, you know, a few people in fursuits, but most people are just kind of hanging out.
At Western Bowl?
At Western Bowl.
Interesting.
Yeah. They used to do it every month, and they haven't for a while now. I don't remember. Something went down. I forget. But I think that night, apparently it was a really good night for them because they had like 40 people there, furries, and then, you know, all the regular attenders, bowling alley people, and that's who was hitting on me while I was in line to get a drink. And he's just like, "Hey, you want to go back to my car? I love you. I like cross-dressers." And I was like, I don't want to do anything with this person. I'm like, kind of sneak away, you know, do the thing where I'm like, okay, bye. God, I think my roommate had to step in and like pretend to be my boyfriend or something like that, which is hilarious if you'd ever met my roommate, who's like the biggest stereotypical gay man that I think I've ever met.
Stereotypical how so?
Lisp, does the oh honey thing, watches RuPaul.
Lots of sassy?
Very sassy type.
All right. Okay. I get it. Anyways,
Yeah.
keep going.
He's pretty funny. Anyway, that guy ended up following us over there and was like hitting on, you know, some of the other girls that were there. And like one girl like started crying and like had like a panic attack because he was over there, and he had to like I think the management for the bowling alley had to come out and be like, "All right, you guys should stay over there. Furries, stay over here," or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I was like trying to distance myself and hide. But anyway, afterwards, a few of us, well, a decent amount of us, were like, "Hey, we're hungry. Let's all go to Steak and Shake." And if you've never been to Steak and Shake with more than like 2 people, prepare to wait a long ass time for anything.
I worked at that Steak and Shake.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, oh my god.
It's bad.
Every time I've looked behind like the counter at a Steak and Shake, it always just looks like fucking a
It's
mess.
chaos.
They're starting to close down one by one.
Yeah.
They're all
They've closed them
closed.
all in Ohio. There's still
Yeah.
some in Indiana.
They're
We went to one
rebranding.
recently.
They're gonna rebrand some. I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do.
You know how you rebrand, you get good employees.
You get better. You just get better.
Suck less.
Yeah, suck less. Anyways,
Basically. But yeah, that's how the night was, by the way, because everyone had to get food, and everyone, you know, because there was like about 15 of us. Was that about right?
Gotta pee.
Oh.
Back.
At
Thanks.
least.
Yeah, and so I think you sat next to me, right?
I sat almost next to you, but then there was that girl.
Was the girl next to me?
The girl was in
I thought
between
that-
us.
I
and
thought that you were in between me and that girl.
But you guys sat next to each other?
Yeah.
We sat pretty close to each
other.
Yeah.
Within talking distance.
Yeah, and we just started up a conversation. That's when I learned that you played Second Life, and I was like, wow, what a huge dork. I want to get to know them more.
And then I sent you a Telegram, which is a messaging app.
Yeah.
And I sent you a bunch of lewd stuff on Telegram, and you sent me lewd stuff back.
Oh man, I forgot we were gonna have to get into furry porn. I might be able to pull up that.
We should.
We'll have to get into that because it is its own thing.
This is my favorite.
I really
podcast.
wanted to ask a lot about that because I was curious, like, what's up with Vor? What the fuck is up with Vor?
Why does Vor exist?
Vor is like very prominent in the furry scene. I've noticed online, and I see a ton of videos online of like furries that have gigantic bellies, like their suit has that made. What's
I
let's
haven't
get
met
into
anyone
that.
Who has a suit made, but I've seen like inflation people who have the huge like suits. That's
Inflation furs are big too.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, what the fuck's going on with that?
Well, here let me finish up the night.
Yeah.
Because God, it got worse, and by Cody will probably be back by then. We're at that Steak and Shake, and fuck, it took forever to do anything. Oh, I remember that weird girl. You and her like had this kiss, and then you were like, "That's my first ever kiss," and
Which wasn't true.
It wasn't true at all. I was looking at you like, I don't think that's true.
I just said it as a joke.
And she believed you, I think.
Yeah, she did.
Was super like, really? Oh my god.
She was hot.
She was hot, but she was also fucking weird as fuck. Remember when her partners, I think, were like starting to like get really mad at her and like talking to her like she was a small child, and she was responding as if she was a small child. And I think she was even calling them like dad and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to know more about
It's
that.
like, if that's your thing, that's cool,
It's
but it
cool
ain't
if
my
it's like
thing.
your consenting adults
what
is
happened at
whatever.
Steak and Shake?
So, right. My roommate that I mentioned earlier, he had his boyfriend there. And his boyfriend is this, he was this, kind of smallish guy. He was one of those guys who's like short and kind of got made fun of it, so he learned how to fight kind of dudes. And so he's
Carmen
sitting
can't
there.
fight.
Carmen?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's not the big cheese I am. Anyways, go
Sorry,
on.
joke about a friend of ours. Keep going.
I figured. But yeah, so yeah, my roommate and his boyfriend were sitting there at one end of the table. I was more like towards like the middle of like the three tables pushed together. But some drunk guy came up to him, this big like drunk dude, and his like also drunk girlfriend were like started messing with him, my roommate's boyfriend, and my roommate's boyfriend was like sitting there like quivering. Like I just remember looking down and seeing this stranger talking to them, and like I think his furry name was Theo. That's the one I'll use online. But he looked like he was so close to coming up and popping him in the mouth, and I was gonna be there for it because I know that
There's lots of fights there at that Steak and Shake. I've seen
bet.
some throwdowns.
I'll bet there was about to be one that night, but then like
I almost got in a fight up there one time.
Who hasn't gotten in a fight at Steak and
Who?
Shake?
It's just a rite of passage.
it really is. It's Cincinnati
Probably not,
tradition.
Luke.
I don't have drama in my life that would ever require
You wouldn't square
me
up
to come-
anyways, Luke. Come on.
Whatever, nerd.
They don't,
Anyways,
they
keep
don't
telling
call
your
me
story.
psychopath Luke for no reason,
Shut
but
the fuck up.
Call him Cool Hand Luke. We
that's a bad.
so we rush out. I'm like, I don't want to have to be here when police arrive and have to tell them I was at a furry convention. And I was like getting tired anyway because I was in like these Heely boots and like
They were really
I
hot.
was looking so
You imagine
good
how
that
many
night.
questions the police would have? Like, furry what? What's a furry?
I'd have
Back
to have
all the way
this whole
up.
podcast. See, that would be a good way to prepare.
You had Heely boots?
Oh, you
Not
had
like
a big
the
fox
wheels.
hat?
Oh, I was
But,
like, you were about to make the quick escape, even if the boys did show up.
Just up on the heels.
Yeah, right, skirt.
Catch me now, pig. No, they were boots with heels,
Okay.
Okay.
but a little bit less cool, I guess. Poor Kenna. But Kenna and I exchanged our Telegram information there, or I think we connected on Facebook too, maybe. Cause
Twitter, maybe?
Twitter too, but I think we were on Facebook.
And that's how you guys met? Was at a throwdown at a Steak and Shake?
Yeah, basically.
That's interesting.
It was a bowling alley that turned into a almost throwdown at a Steak and Shake.
Happens almost every time.
That's a West Side.
That's totally a West Side thing.
really
right there. That's a
lived the
West
West
Side.
Side
I'm
furry
a West
story.
Sider, so I know it. I fucking know it.
How does this turn into you meeting the bushy-tailed, furry-eared love of your life? How does this happen?
So she was there, and that was this person I started talking to. And like we hung out a couple times. We had a really good time.
Mm-hmm.
They went down on me on our first date. You know, no biggie.
Killing it.
Yeah, basically.
Killing it.
And we stuck
Killing it.
around for a while, and then she started.
I know how to please my partners. I'm just saying.
And eventually she brokered the whole, like, I've had gender feelings in the past, too. And one of the reasons why I gravitated to you is because that she looked up to me. And I was like, oh, I must protect this small thing.
This is such a Kodak moment.
I know.
You know?
We have those a lot because we're huge dorks.
We're that couple.
We are that couple.
Like, we still haven't ended our honeymoon phase.
What's funny is because instead of we became that couple who would start fights at Steak and Shake. Can you imagine being my girlfriend and like watching me like trying to start a fight with somebody at a Steak and Shake?
Be pretty entertaining.
Oh my god, I would
Especially if you were drunk. I might have to get the camera
It's hard to
out.
fight unless you're drunk.
Let's get into
into
the
something.
Vor. I really want to know
really
more
wanna
about
talk-
the Vor.
That's a good segue.
Really wanna
Getting
talk-
into Vor.
Yeah.
Clever.
Really want to talk about furry
I didn't even
porn.
think about that. That's so. I should have thought of that.
Wait, is Vor specifically furry porn?
No.
No, that's
Because
just
Vor is
it's-
eating somebody, right?
Right.
That's, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
swallowing them whole.
Let's
Yeah.
get into the
Eating
the porn section of this.
Yes, it's time for furry porn, everybody. Yay.
Fuck yeah, I've been
You ready
waiting
to look
this
this
whole
up?
time for this.
Make
I
sure
don't
you're
know
clear
anything
and
about
hashing
furry
cookies.
porn.
All right.
I've
Don't-
never
don't
seen
clear
furry
him.
porn.
Just let him
Never-
simmer.
Let's
have you
let
made
the
any?
magic happen.
I wish.
So the big site I think that Kenna and I usually go to is just E621, and that's going to be
That's a website.
that is a website. So is it .com or .net?
.net. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. The only thing
Is
that-
wait, don't click on that yet. Oh,
Don't
well,
do it.
don't go to the search because some of the things they host on that
oh,
site.
you mean yeah? There is some really nasty things on here as well.
We've
but
seen it all.
oh, I mean, if you're comfortable with that
We
being
played
portrayed,
Stumpfuck
then you
porn
can
one
just
time.
click.
So,
Sorry.
well, it used to
can
be a
play-
regular thing
I
where it's
wanna-
like a guy's asshole being lubed up and a girl with a stump leg, and she jams her stump leg in there, and it plays, "Now you're a man."
It's great.
A man.
Then just
in the
click
background,
posts
so
and we
you're
can
not gonna
just go
shock
from
us.
there.
It,
All right.
I've seen a bunch of different weird shit too that I wanted to show.
Let's just get into
we'll
it.
get into
Yeah.
it.
This is updated in real time. So these are the most recently posted things.
and these are all just like fandom.
How's this porn? I just see a handsome young dog, man.
Right?
With a-
Look at
with a
him.
dick.
And he's
Untrimmed cock.
uncut. He's uncut.
He looks
God.
like he's ready to
There's
go.
like extra foreskin to play with, which
He
is
likes,
like really fun.
Love you.
What can you do with the extra foreskin? I don't know what to do with the extra foreskin.
Yes,
Get folded
educate
up
us.
and-
I mean,
Make
I've actually
origami
never
foreskin.
Make
sucked an
origami.
uncut
Now,
cock.
Hold
You
on,
were
if-
lying
if-
then.
What, Luke?
If we are being anatomically correct,
tongue the cheese out of the.
is
Sorry.
that foreskin or is that the sheath?
A foreskin is a human sheath.
It's the same thing.
So
right?
that's an interesting thing where
no,
some
I mean
people
like with a red rocket
Gotta
emerge
protect the
from
mushrooms.
that.
we
sword.
don't know because
Ah.
artists can draw that however they fucking want. And
There
some
really is
people
no
So
rules.
sometimes it's red rocket, sometimes it's just regular
like a
penis.
human-y.
Oh,
cock.
yeah.
So back out of this and we can keep looking.
My dude Nick Ruholt once asked a really outrageous question.
Oh,
Is there a
boy.
wiener slot in the suits? Is that a thing that ever happens?
It can happen.
Or
it's
any other?
So there's an interesting anecdote that I always rely back on when it comes to having sex in a fursuit. Person A, this thing cost me $4,000. Why the fuck would I have sex in it? Person B, this thing cost me $4,000. Why the fuck wouldn't I have sex in it? The answer is maybe sometimes. Some people will do that. not everybody's gonna do that because fuck, that's fucking hot in those goddamn things.
Can I ask a personal question?
Well, I mean,
If you both got fursuits, are you fucking in the fursuits?
I am definitely fucking in a
Oh,
fursuit.
yeah,
if
for
I get a
sure.
chance.
All right.
I am definitely that type.
Well, I
Damn,
would
that was
would
easy.
definitely do stuff with a fursuiter. Like that's actually probably low key one of my kinks.
Just it's like a big cuddly creature that's all like warm.
and there's like fur
soft,
and like you got lots of like
So
extra
people-
fluff to grab onto.
No, wait. Is there layers to this? Like, would you actually have like sex
always
with
layers.
your actual parts, or would you do it with prosthetic like fursona parts?
So we're gonna have to get
Dragon
into the
penis.
philosophy of sex here if we're gonna keep going.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sex is something
get deep.
Sex is something that can happen as long as both people agreed that was sexual. Like there doesn't have to be kind of any insertions or there doesn't have to be like any particular kind of touching. I've met people who've had fucking orgasms from just mental stimulation.
just one little
Like
fur
you.
tit
I
fuck.
know. Yeah. What are you talking about? That's not true. Stop lying.
Oh no, wait, no, that wasn't mental.
I was thinking of our roommate. And I don't think that was all mental either. I was just But either way, sex is one of those just weird things that you just kind of learn. Ooh, hello. Damn.
What's happening here?
Oh, looks like someone just had a good ass time.
And
How
it looks
rude.
like-
Why is
dear.
the top of the penis all spiky?
So cats have spikes on their penis or like
They do?
Oh,
Yeah.
so they
Like
did
bars?
try
To
make
to
them more
aim-
efficient rapists. That's what the cats are there
Aren't
for.
cats
Just like
like
ducks.
huge?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're huge
Exactly.
rapists. Don't
No,
ducks
for
have
real.
like 14-inch penises or something crazy?
Their dicks unfold or something, and
they like
got
wind,
barbs,
they corkscrew is what
and then they
do.
barb at the end, right?
then they-
can really hook themselves into the vagina.
Don't like female ducks have like false
Luke
vaginas?
is so terrified right now. I
Blow
feel
his
so
mind.
bad.
Blow his innocent
Corkscrew
mind.
cocks that lock into place.
That's how
Yeah.
ducks. That's how ducks are. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Good
two ducks get
rapist.
together and you just gotta screw them together.
Is that like in
Fuck.
the first sex world? Does that happen?
No.
Okay.
Because that's awful.
it
That's
is.
horrible.
I just made that up.
Yeah.
But ooh,
Well, there's two famous cartoon characters.
Ah, yes.
Giving
Most
each other
people
oral sex.
most people would be familiar with the concept of Rule 34, I suppose.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Patrick has referenced
So
it like
weird.
the last 5 episodes.
If it exists, there's a porn of it.
That's true.
It's true.
we can keep talking. I'm just scrolling through the porn while
Yeah, you do that because you
Cody,
never
quit
know.
opening up so many tabs.
You never know when you'll see something you like. Yeah.
ooh,
Well, this
I
one's
like
a
her.
cow.
Patrick, look, does he have a
spreading it.
chub?
What's that?
I said, look, does he have a chub?
Oh my god.
Hold on, boner check.
Here, grab
One
my
second.
dick, Cody. Yeah.
I know
He's
I do.
fully chubbed.
See, I'm not feeling it just because I'm not. This is one of those things that artists will make judgment calls on, is putting pubic hair on their characters, and I was always like, I don't get that because it's already got fur there.
I don't like her hairy
Pube
butthole
and
though.
butthole hair.
I don't like her hairy butthole.
See, you clicked on a butthole here.
Yeah, that's an
That's-
interesting one.
That's too
That's
many,
really
too
weird.
much potential for dingleberries.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I no. You got to think about these things.
None of these are that crazy to me.
No, because like I said, you're getting things in real time.
Well,
Now,
there's just
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
that just looks
How do
like
you feel
regular
about the
bestiality,
zoophilia that's
though.
on here?
Yeah.
There's some people who are into that, and I am not amongst their ranks.
so if you want to get a little bit less just out of crazy town, you can go to the search
Okay,
right there, and you can just type in right there where it's the.
I got you.
Yeah, and type in something,
any fetish,
any fetish.
Hot
you can
dog.
vor. You want to
Hot
do
dogs.
Cat-
Hot dogs in warm water.
Catholic hot dog.
Catholic hot.
so they are separated by spaces. So
Shit.
probably not it.
No Catholic hot dog sheathing. What kind of porn website is this?
Look
You're
up
like
sound
a boomer
Our
over there,
fandom has
not
failed.
doing it right.
All right.
Here,
Hold
you want
on.
me to have
BDSM.
control over that?
Oh, BDSM's gonna yield some results.
That's true.
Cody's just looking up his fetish.
I'm not into BDSM.
Liar.
It's
Liar.
It's okay if you are.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
I
nothing
know
wrong
it's-
with it. What-
No, yeah, I know it's
Just
fine.
man
Well,
up.
I think we found one,
Oh, here we go.
and we've got a winner.
Oh, she's
Well,
being
What's happening here?
Yeah.
she's
So-
being absolutely blasted with just 3,000 gallons of cum.
It is hard to tell because looks
Also
like to be in a
lactating.
sequence. This looks to be in a sequence of an orgasm, indeed.
Okay.
See, 2 out of 3.
For the
There's
audio
two
listeners, will
orgasms.
you in horrific detail describe what's happening on the screen before?
Ah, yes. It seems that we have caught our lovers in mid-throw. One of them is behind the other. It's actually kind of weird anatomy too. But it looks like this, we'll just call them a trans girl hyena with very large tits, which are lactating, and they are also pierced.
I didn't know they were lactating.
If you notice that they are pierced, they have the same piercings as on the character's ears there, the pink, the blue and purple. It's a very interesting touch there. As we travel down, we see a cock the size of, like, what do you want to call that?
Fire hydrant?
Fire hydrant. You know
Fire
what?
hydrant dick.
That's a fire hydrant dick.
Just imagine how big the...
Splooging some cum. It appears
Splooging.
that...
I like your adjectives.
There you go. She is sitting on a
Is that a
cock.
verb? I'm sorry.
Splooging?
It is now.
It is
Yeah.
now.
All right, keep going.
Decided. She is getting her butthole penetrated by some sort of other... It's hard to tell what kind of creature that is behind her because, like...
It looks like a
It's
wolf.
it's really obscured, but...
It looks like some type of canid.
But there seems to be an explosion of spunk frothing from her anus in a, like I said, mid-jism.
Looks like gallons and gallons of cum.
Yes.
But wait, look
Gallons.
at his legs.
Like gallons, yeah.
Look at his legs. Like his knees are there, but it's in like
That
a
is
really,
really
weird
weird.
location. Like, is that his knees
So-
or is he just an amputee?
You can't tell.
Like his anatomy is all fucky.
Oh, that's so ironic. The character name? That's not me. It's
What's
not
the character
Zephyr?
name?
Zephyr.
me. Which one is that? Click on that.
All right,
Is it the
we're-
blue?
Got some
one?
explaining to do.
It looks like the yin.
It must be that hyena
Or
girl. That
no,
is
there's
cool.
actually a few characters
I wish
named
she was
Zephyr.
Oh, this one's nice.
So, like, what kind of,
hell
like...
yeah.
What kind of, like, furry porn is too much?
Wha-
Like, would you say, like, this is too much? This is...
Yeah,
Oh,
what
no.
level do you
Like-
kink shame?
No,
I don't. We don't kink shame here.
I think the
as long
only,
as you're not harming anybody.
I think the only.
This looks painful.
I'm trying to understand.
Alright, so-
Is
Go ahead.
This person's getting cummed in so hard it's going out of their mouth like a
Yeah,
hose.
yeah,
This
I
is
was
painful.
So what
looking.
is happening is, and we are once again caught in the middle of a sequence. This one is a cock transformation sequence, wherein someone is fucking another person, and that other person getting fucked slowly transforms into their cock, like shrinks down and melts
like
down.
a cock?
Yeah,
like they're
I was-
a fleshy cock skin.
I was
Yes.
gonna say it
Like
looks
if a
like
real
their-
person were to fuck a squirrel.
It looks like their forearms and their ribcage skin is
Right, like I said, this is in the middle of their transformation into.
like they're just
A
becoming
phallus.
a part of the cock just being
Yeah.
For our
absorbed
listeners,
into
imagine
it.
if you yourself took a gerbil, a live gerbil,
Why a
and then
gerbil?
just
Like an actual-
stuffed your own penis into it. I don't care how micro dick you got, but if you stuffed your penis into this gerbil, the gerbil's going to take the form of your penis.
That is true.
At some point, it's more your penis than it is gerbil. All right, and that's
just
what
by
we're watching.
volume, yeah.
And then imagine coming, and your cum has like Superman fucking shotgun load power, and it just goes right out the gerbil's innocent little mouth. That's kind of like what we're watching in cartoon
That's what we're
form
seeing right now. Basically,
no animals were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
Way to put an image on that, bro.
I like how the hyena's tail is wagging really fast, like
right.
This other Zephyr who,
Look at the
who
balls.
Who is this
Yeah.
person?
right?
Lord Jesus,
Who
look at
has
those balls.
usurped my identity?
her balls are the size of watermelons, and I'm all here for it.
That happens with.
I
cock
love big balls.
transformation, Yeah.
Like, just
I
honestly,
hate that I'm an expert at bullshit like this.
I love it.
So like what? So what
can't
is
put
that
that on a
limit though?
resume.
Where you're like, okay, this is starting to be really freaky.
So
I
wait,
mean,
what do you
so-
say
Zoophilia-
about the people that
Which
are
one? Which one?
I have to say,
into the mic?
Into the mic.
sorry, if I had a hard limit on what I would accept and would not even recommend that you pull up, it would be what's called cub porn.
Here we go.
Oh my God!
Is this furry
Nightmare fuel.
pedophilia?
Yep.
Oh
No,
no, we can't.
don't look
go.
that shit
No,
up.
Can't look that up.
That's real?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a couple lines I won't cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
That crossed the
I was
line
about to
there.
say
That's
you
one
might
that
not
I'm
want
not
to
interested
pull
in.
that up.
It's basically what it sounds like. It's furry lolicon. And
What's
under-
lolicon? Hold
Yeah.
on.
What's that?
Back up a step.
It is drawn anime style porn of underage girls that are sexualized
All right.
in many various ways, sometimes overtly sexual, sometimes more overtly sexual.
Well,
And
uh,
that
Oh,
is-
horrifying.
Yeah.
And
Good lord.
it's something that attracts negative attention in the furry fandom for good reason, because it's terrible.
There's assholes.
And there's people who defend it by saying it's not real pixels, no actual children.
They're not real.
Those people need to be monitored.
Meanwhile,
those are pedophiles that are trying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're spending hours and hours and hours creating this very specific fucked up fetish.
Yep.
Fuck?
And that fetish combines with all the regular fetishes sometimes. And like I said, I mean, it's not like a huge part of the furry fandom that does it. It's more like a really tiny minority, but they're very vocal because, it's not illegal because it's actually not illegal to draw underage porn, believe it or not.
Really?
It's not illegal to draw it. It's illegal to take pictures of it and make 3D models of it because it can be mistaken for the real thing and cause injury to an actual child.
Ooh, wait a minute.
That's fucking
I didn't know
crazy.
that.
What the fuck?
We could have gotten that one Sean dude. I guess I can say his name because I don't care. That one dude who we got kicked out of that Telegram group.
Oh yeah.
Who turned out to be drawing like a lot of lolly shit and cub shit. Mm-hmm. We got him kicked out because we pointed the group owners to him, and they were like, "Fuck that."
How many people were in the group?
It was the Cincy group, wasn't it?
Yeah,
first group.
Couple hundred at least. I would say almost 500.
Oh wow.
It's a pretty active group. I don't really post in there that much because I've never been one for group chats, but it is very active. And
it was funny because I found that guy's Twitter account, and we pointed them towards the Twitter account, and they were like, "Fuck this."
But there's actually 2 Cincy Fur
guy
channels.
Created 3D models, so he might have been doing that.
Oh yeah, he definitely committed a crime. Yeah.
So wait, what do you guys
Fucking
say
hell,
about
that gets deep.
What do y'all say about the people that say that there's no sexual aspect to this at all? Are they lying, or are they
I would say
ashamed of it, or is it just
they might just not be very
sect?
Does it start as more of like a fursona, then it eventually gets into the fetish just because?
It can go either way. For me, my introduction was sexualization of this kind of stuff.
Same.
Like, furry porn and bullshit like that. And it was like, oh, this is kind of neat. And then from there I learned, oh, there's a whole community of people who draw this and create content for it. And it was like, oh, these people are super cool kind of thing. As for people who say, this is not a sexual thing, I would say maybe it isn't for them. Some people want to just take it. Some people want furry for themselves to be an innocent thing, to be something whimsical even. And then that's fucking fair. Do whatever you want.
Do you think that's the majority of the community, though?
I wouldn't say it's a majority.
Actually, I'd say it's a pretty large number because, you know how, MFF and Anthrocon are the 2 big cons, and MFF is the one where you can drink out in public and you can just be an adult, but Anthrocon...
For the most part. Like I said, PG in the day, PG-13 at night.
Right, but Anthrocon, you can't even drink while you're on the con floor because it's supposed to be a family con, and actually what that...
Not really supposed to drink in public anyway.
You're really not, but that actually translates to, at these cons, mostly the family-friendly ones, I actually see kids in fursuits, and they're just running around having the best time of their lives being a pretend animal, and, their mom and dad probably have fursuits too.
Sometimes the parents are just looking bewildered, and it's just yeah.
Yeah, it can be a mixed reaction either in some cases, but there are some families who really do go to these things, and I've seen entire families with con badges and Sona names, and
the whole family,
the wife and the kids, and they're not
dog too.
Do they dress the dog up as a person though?
Oh man, I hope
they
do.
Walk around on his hind legs.
That's a good question.
If we ever had kids, that's exactly what we would do.
Dress them up as dog persons.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to see. I actually really get a heartwarming feeling whenever people talk more about the non-sexual aspects of the community, because there is a lot of community to it. It's a very accepting place for a lot of different people, not just queer people. Although a lot of queer people happen to find their way there. And when I see kids just going in there wearing their little fursuit heads, just, running around, going to the dealer's den, which is the big place where like all the artists sell their stuff, and kids just
people who make like badges and like just people who make different things that can be sold,
yeah. Like you got your mom a present there once, remember?
They had these hand carved little wooden like puzzle things, and the one I got my mom was shaped like a fox because her maiden name is Fox. And it's just kind of like, it's one of those things where if furries had been around like as a subculture that they are, we forgot to talk about the history thing.
We'll get into it next.
We'll get into that next. But my mom is one of those people who would totally be a furry, and she like has expressed interest whenever I've talked about it with her. Like I don't tell her a lot about it. I just tell her, yeah, we just kind of go down. There's some people who dress like animals, but for the most part, it's just a big party.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like furries fucking know how to throw a good party.
Can I talk about the history?
Let's talk about the history.
Let's talk about
Where does this start?
Back in the early 1980s.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the club kids thing?
Well, no. It actually kind of emerged from
I have to pee, so I am
Go ahead.
Do that.
Go for it.
But it kind of emerged from, I can't remember which nerd fandom. I love you. For which nerd fandom it emerged from, but I think it was the comic book fandom, and they already had comic book conventions back in the early 80s, and of course it wasn't as big as it is now, but it was a thing. And then there was people there who liked to make comic books of furry characters just doing normal comic book stuff, and there was
like real slice of life kind of stuff.
Yeah, like, and I've seen these comics, and the art that was made back then was nothing like what you see today. It was very much story driven, very much more of like a cartoon that you would watch on TV. But
no uncut dog dicks?
No uncut dog dicks, although I'm sure there were a few floating around back then. It's just there was no internet back then.
A boy can dream.
Yeah, back then computers were pretty slow, so you just couldn't get the best furry porn.
I'm sure it was like finding a needle in a haystack kind of thing back in that day.
Yeah.
Because not only did you have limited access, but who the hell had like internet porn back then, really?
Yeah, because that just wasn't a thing either, and furry porn didn't become a thing until after internet porn became a thing. But yeah, so I forget which person it was, but a specific person founded the very first Furmy after all of these artists were exchanging this work together, and I think some of them were even dressing up as the animals that they, that were their alter egos. And it just kind of started, and it kind of limped along throughout the 1980s and the 1990s, and then the internet became a thing, and that's when it blew up, and it actually became something that was like in the mainstream, thought.
Right.
That, that if you ask somebody what a furry is, there's a not small chance that they'll have an opinion about it. That kind of thing. And yeah, that's kind of where it is now. It's just this big phenomenon that was bolstered by the internet.
Millions of people.
Yeah.
And they have like websites and comics and like shows and everything that's all into it. It's crazy how deep it is.
Oh, and there's furry conventions all over the world. Like there's one in Russia.
What's the closest one to Cincinnati?
Furryality.
It's in Cincinnati.
It's in Cincinnati?
Yep.
Have you guys gone?
This is part of the scene that you don't like?
No. See, that's the thing. I probably spoke a little out of turn. There's only a few people in Cincinnati furries that I don't like.
Shout them out.
Yeah, shout them out. Who is it? Foxman, Turtle Boy? No. Tell me about him.
Turtle Man.
I love Turtle
Nighthawk. Fuck you, Nighthawk.
I'll get you back, Nighthawk. No, there's this dude who's just a big Trump supporter, and he's always just very vocal about it, but he's one of the people who's like most active at running like the meets, and I just don't feel comfortable going to them.
You tell him that Trump doesn't support him, right? Because for sure Trump does not got furries in his best interest.
Wasn't there a convention recently up north where it was like half shared with the Trump rally? And it was a furry convention? Maybe it was an anime convention.
It might have been an anime convention.
But I remember they were had the news and you could see people in like fursuits and stuff while they were trying to talk politics.
Mm-hmm.
Just very interesting. It's kind of like the Area 51. Did you see all that stuff?
Well, if the Proud Boys do show up to fucking Midwest Fur Fest, then I guess we're going to get a lot more exposure really quick.
Yeah.
They're going to get their asses beat. That's what's going to happen.
We're just being preemptive.
Now, I used to think that furries were this, like, when you guys got together, and this was from a Rogan thing early on. He's corrected it since, but he said the furries used to get together and, like, shit in litter boxes and stuff like that. Does it ever go that far ever?
Seriously?
You know what? I would not put it past some of the people that I know that they would totally do that as a joke while drunk.
But
I've
not
never
a regular
heard of it
part
before.
Of furry.
No.
That's just funny.
That's hilarious, though.
I would so do that just as a joke.
That would be
Like,
fucking
meow,
hilarious.
meow.
Full costume and shit in a litter box.
I've been a bad kitty.
How about as far as eating out of bowls and eating out of
That's
like,
funny
is that
because
normal?
I have met people who do that. And funny, at Anthrocon, they will sell you fucking an overpriced fucking chicken tender in a bowl.
With a dog bowl.
Yeah.
And it's
I
got a
remember
bone
I got
on the
one of those
side.
and threw that shit away.
Is there anybody that's like maybe in a relationship and one of them isn't a furry but comes with them and carries them around on a leash? Is there anything like that?
No. I'm pretty sure I've read that a lot of these fursuits are really difficult to see out of.
Yeah.
And they actually have to have handlers.
Yes, that is
correct?
actually
That's-
very true.
So is
And
that
a leash on a fursuiter is not a bad idea.
Up to the mic.
Mike?
A leash on a fursuiter is not a bad idea.
Yeah, because they have to like direct them and stuff just so
Yeah.
they know what's going on.
It's actually very practical.
Any fetch playing? Anything like that?
Well,
like how far does it
I'm
into
sure
the
it-
animal
Pup play.
world does it get?
Have you ever heard of pup play?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some intersectionality with that.
That one is interesting with the latex and all that. It
And
gets a
the
little tough.
pup hoods, like those leather dog-shaped hoods that they wear.
But I mean, apparently, like, there's a bunch of people that actually get together just to actually like really delve into it. You know, like they pay people to like take care of them as if they actually had, like a dog handler.
I mean, if you got the time for that shit, go at it.
Yeah, right.
Does it piss you off when you see everybody fucking with furry culture constantly all the time, or are you just like whatever?
I
People make
expect
jokes.
it.
We grew up in the early aughts internet, the 2000s internet culture. So we're so used to it that it's like it doesn't really faze us. It's like, yeah, furries are fucking weird. It's fucking 2019. It's time to move on. There's
like-
weirder shit out there.
There's
and
definitely
it's-
weirder shit out there,
And
especially
the
nowadays.
subject is way too nuanced to like write it off so quickly like that.
Yeah, and it's just at this point, if you think, furries are just people who, like, I went on a dating site once and I seriously had a woman ask me if, like I told her I was a furry because that's a pretty important part of who I am, and she was just like, "Oh, you mean they dress up in animal costumes and you all fuck each other?" It's like,
Well, I mean, sometimes, but
I wish.
I would totally do it, but God, it's one of those things where it's like,
it's not the whole thing.
Some people can't. Some people don't. Some people are like, no, those things are way too claustrophobic. Fuck
That's just
that.
one pepperoni on the furry pizza.
That was such a beautiful analogy, Ken.
Because you love pizza.
I do
I
love
tailed it to
pizza.
you.
Thank you.
Furry pizza.
So
Luke likes pizza too.
Sounds like it
Furry
get caught in your
pizza.
teeth a little bit.
Yeah.
Furry
Nom
pizza.
nom nom. Get some floss.
Yeah.
So,
Some loss on that.
your fursona is a dragon as well. What are the other ones that you have?
So I have 2 fursonas, but like it's like you can have like multiple like characters that belong to you or whatever. Your fursona might just be like one that you resonate with or identify with or is otherwise just more important to you. Zilbaz the dragon is like, okay, so I have 2 personas. We'll say it like that. I've got my one, which is named Zephyr. Here we go.
But not this Zephyr on the internet that
No.
we found.
So I called myself Zephyr years ago, and before I even transitioned, that was just like my online name. That's how a lot of people knew me, and so I just kind of like switched it to that. And so it just so happens that yes, I named myself after my fursona. What the fuck of it?
I love it.
What the fuck of it, you know? So she is just more like I guess I don't like to get too philosophical with.
But what animal is she?
She is a fox. She is a cross fox, which is a color variation of a fox.
What's
or
a
red
cross fox?
Yeah, I've
so
never
go
heard
ahead
that.
and put it in the
Google search.
Google search that because they're beautiful creatures.
Hentai.
Why are you looking up hentai?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't know what we were doing
Cross-dressing hentai?
Uh-oh.
Wait,
The
what came up?
humanity.
So just click images and
Just go to
All
images.
right, crossfox. Let's just do regular crossfox.
So they look like that.
Those
They
babies.
have this really funky, cool ass. You know,
Well, what do they
It's
look
like
like
a
with a big
black and
untrimmed
orange
dick?
fox.
Huge fox balls.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Go to E621.
Yeah.
They'll have it there.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
It will have it there.
So this is the Zephyr personality, the one that you're named after.
Yeah, definitely.
So wait, do you have a dead name and now your the real name is the?
That's my real last name on my driver's
Zephyr?
license.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that expensive to do? Like to get
Not
the?
in Kentucky.
How much is it?
It's like 200 in Ohio or something, I believe, to change the name.
It's really prohibitively expensive in Ohio.
Really? Is it higher than that?
I don't know. Well, it's not prohibitively expensive. It's just the process is a lot more in depth. Like you have to like buy out an ad space in a local newspaper of yours or
Really?
something like that, and say announcing it. In Kentucky, you go in.
That's so
serious?
stupid. Why? Who cares? A newspaper?
Transphobia.
Transphobia. One of those things you can. That's the easy answer. In Kentucky, it's not, and that's where I was living at the time when I did that.
Because
But
I imported
isn't-
her.
Wouldn't Kentucky be the more transphobic state if you're gonna name them? Like,
Right?
Kentucky, Alabama, Missouri.
I guess
can
they-
name them all. I don't know any statistics, but I promise you,
They-
every state I'm naming.
I guess they support the ability to be individual. They're more libertarian than they are transphobic, I suppose.
Okay. Fair enough. We could still smoke in bars in Kentucky. Why am I shitting on Kentucky so hard?
That's right.
That's where I did my name
It's a
change
beautiful
too.
state.
I have
you go.
some questions after this, though. Go on.
Oh shoot. Oh yeah. So Zephyr was kind of like this person that I wanted to attain. Zilbaz is more like a fun take on fun and a lot more sexualized. Like I don't know if I would be able to pull up the actual any art for Zilbaz that I've had done, but she's very large. She's like 9 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking huge ass.
Where do you
tits.
think of these names? I feel like that's got to be like one of the toughest parts. Is like, how do I find the perfect name?
Kentaboo found hers.
Should I tell them?
I don't know. Do you want to? That's
I
up to you.
do.
Okay.
Tell us everything.
I used to live
Yeah, you're not
on a street, and the street next to that was Kentaboo Avenue, and I just took that name because I thought it was cute. Except I dropped the avenue.
Drop the avenue.
What'd you go with instead? Lane Terrace, perhaps?
Maybe.
Avenue.
It's a good idea. Kentaboo Expressway.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
very you. Zephyr is from a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and Zilbaz is a combination of Godzilla and a character that I was into at the time, just because I don't remember why. But Zubaz, which
Yeah,
is
you see him coming up in the search terms.
Zubaz. Hey, look, there he is.
Zubaz pants?
So Zubaz is like a video game character.
Oh, okay. This guy?
Yeah.
I was thinking like Zubat for a second.
right? But
Rejected
Baz.
character concept.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay,
that was just the name. I don't know. I don't really.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
I'm
you
gonna
have
be
questions for
right
us?
yes, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, let's
so,
get into those.
how do you guys feel about bronies?
You go ahead. I'll pee. I'll take care of this. Okay. I'll take care of this mess. No. So I did get a little bit into MLP when it first came out, when it first dropped back in like 2011 or whatever.
MLP is My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Just
Gotcha.
clarifying
I
for
didn't
the
even know what that.
listeners.
I thought that was something else. Okay, go on.
Sorry. Yeah, it is. And I got into it for a couple of years because, you know, it was just one of those fun things that come up on, like, everyone's into it and everyone's having a good time. And then suddenly, like, there's a bunch of, like, really weird shit coming out about it. And it's like, I don't think I really want to be a part of this anymore.
Like what people were saying or something?
I don't know.
Pedophiles.
It was a lot of the sexualization and just, I mean, that's just going to happen. Like you were bringing up about Rule 34 earlier. There's going to be porn of it.
Right.
I don't know. It just felt like there was like this collective obsession. It became less of a like hobby and more of an obsession. That's when I was just like, this is a little weird. And I guess the difference between that and like furry is because, you know, My Little Pony is a brand. It's an intellectual property. Furry isn't. Furry is what you make of it. Furry is, you know, whatever you want it to be, essentially. And so I guess bronies are just like, fine, do whatever you want, but I don't know.
I've seen like on Reddit that a lot of them are kind of aggressive online, it seems, too, about it. Like, it seemed very like angry, quick to anger. It's very interesting to see
that's
that.
That's what I said. Like, it became it's more of an obsession with a lot of them.
Right. Exactly. And then what the fuck else I was gonna ask?
You've got a whole list of
I got
questions.
a whole
You're
list.
asking me. I'm doing this off the top of my dome piece. I didn't even
Right?
think about this. I'm ill prepared. I just have
So-
questions.
There was another thing that I was looking up, and I did not really know what it was. But what is yiffing exactly?
Oh boy, yiffing. So, yiffing is the noise.
Gotta pee.
Our roommate had actually asked this question not too long ago, because she's not a furry. She don't know shit about furries or whatever. So I got experience answering it then, and so yiffing, Kenna is back. Yiffing is the sound that Arctic foxes make when they're banging.
That's like a real thing.
Apparently, I don't. That's what I've always heard. I've never looked it up for myself because whatever. And it became just like this weird fandom terminology, just to, at least in the early on, it was how people kind of cartoonishly expressed sexuality, I think, in the furry fandom. And it was much more prevalent. Now people mostly will only use it ironically. If anyone's actually saying it, it's probably either ironic or they're just, you know, kind of old hat. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, fine if that's what you want to be. But yeah, like in the early days of furries, it was a lot more of a way to talk about sex without talking about sex.
Right. That makes sense. How does all this it just affect like a?
Myself.
Do you need a towel?
No, I'm good.
Okay. How did you say would this normally affect your life daily? Would you say
Daily?
Not really.
Not really
at
at all?
Like, I mean, it's something that is a part of my life, but it's kind of like being a fan of Star Wars, like or Star Wars or Star Trek. You know,
Star Fox,
of course.
Now
You
we're
know,
overlapping.
you just you don't just love Star Fox 24 hours a day. Eventually you gotta go to work, and even though you really want to play Star Fox, you know, when you're at work, you know, but no, seriously, it's like it's just something that I really enjoy partaking in, but I put it on the shelf
It's
whenever.
akin to a hobby.
It is.
It's like it's a social thing because, you know, in as much as someone is a furry, they are probably not by themselves a furry. Like, it's something that's often shared between other people, between, you know, multiple people. You know, just the whole, hey, this is my persona, this is my persona.
Yeah.
So it's a hobby, but it's also like it's a social thing.
Yeah, and it's just something that is
It just might not come up, and you know, it usually doesn't. And you know, like I said before, some people have a knee-jerk negative reaction, or they assume it's about bestiality or some shit like that. So I don't always just bring it up.
what do you guys usually say when someone says something like that? Like, what do you usually respond with?
I either, if I think that I'm actually I can have a conversation with this person, then I will tell them not really. And I would tell them I'm a fucking furry and I don't do that shit, and none of the furries that I know do that shit. So I can just prove them wrong right the fuck there. Otherwise, if I feel like they're just going to be an asshole for the purpose of being an asshole, then I treat them the same way that I would treat most assholes, and like,
fuck you, man.
Basically, I'd like try to like avoid them or fight them. Like if I can't like step out, then
I just
throw
avoid
bombs.
them. I'm a very avoidant person around those types of
I
people.
feel like once you get charged as an adult, you just want to avoid the fight, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I think of it, you know?
Sure.
Sure, yeah. I like Slayer, but I'm not a dick about it.
No one understands that joke,
I don't
Patrick.
care. I guess like the next question I really wanted to ask as well is like, what would you want non-furries or just anybody that's not out of the community want to know about this?
That was hilarious.
I would say I would tell someone who's not a furry to think about what your favorite animal is and think about what if that animal was a person.
Now imagine if it had giant balls and an untrimmed cock. And
See, Cody's already got his
big
persona.
barrel chest.
I can see him over there. He's drawing notes right now.
Big barrel chest with a prostate the size of a, I don't know, a Fort Knox bank.
Yeah.
Full of jism.
I'm glad I showed you E621. I think
I feel like he's going to go back to that.
Yeah. Just a night for sure.
Just the night.
Bookmark
why
that
do you think I
shit.
keep stepping off to the bathroom?
You thinking
See more.
He's bookmarking all of them right
Exactly.
now.
Yeah. It's like before I forget E621.
I forgot to talk about this earlier, but when it comes to like furry porn, it's like any other kind of like art medium where some people are going to draw it and they're not going to be very good. So you have to kind of sift through if you are not there just for, you know, whatever fetish they might be portraying or whatever, then you're going to have to like sift through to find like really good like art that's been like practiced a lot. You know?
Pat's got a live chat that's up right now with a couple questions popping up, and I saw one from Soya asking about I don't know. I'm gonna reword the question because I think that the question is it says what's better, fur exotica or real life fur pleasure? And
Ooh, those are toy companies, but I don't.
They're toy
really-
companies?
I don't think
They're furry toy companies, meaning they're dildo companies.
We had actually when Haley and Jack came on, they showed us this. What the fuck was that website? But
Bad
it had,
Dragon?
like Demogorgon penises, and it had-
Probably Bad Dragon.
Bad
yeah,
Dragon.
that was it.
Yeah,
that was
that's
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it's similar like that?
Yeah. So they're probably asking, that sounds like a test question, which is better. I don't have dildos from either of those companies, so I don't know from a consumer's perspective. And if there's like some weird other shit going on, I'm afraid I don't know.
They're both different brands, and neither one of them has entered my body, so I really don't know.
It's interesting that there's like dildos out there that lay eggs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the Bad Dragon ones were like really crazy.
Really
I was
intense.
Like, holy shit!
There's-
Can we get a
God.
sponsorship? Like, I'd love to read a Bad Dragon ad every week.
You want a Demogorgon cock that lays eggs?
I want so many dildos, like just really like
dildos and like silicone pussies and mouths and stuff. I have one
Yeah.
of their mouths. It's fucking sick.
put some
Does it
lotion.
feel
in
like a real mouth?
No, it
But
feels
it
like
feels
a bunch
good.
of silicone.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never put my dick in anything silicone, unfortunately.
It's an
It's
experience.
God, you fucking silicone virgin. You fucking.
Well, Luke, I know that your only
You
opportunity to have
rookie.
sex is with a silicone version of a.
That's a
vagina.
secret between you
Or
and I.
Dog's butthole.
I mean, if that's what you prefer to have sex with, more power to you.
His dog's anus.
Not your actual dog.
Now, there's something you don't know about one of the hosts of the Bastard
Yeah,
Sermon. He's
something
actually
Oh,
in
that
a,
is not true.
a zoophilic relationship with his.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Don't kink shame him. He's not out of the closet about it. I got a little too drunk and I just started talking about it. Sorry, Luke. We'll cut this part of the podcast out.
He's just taking a
We probably
big
won't.
drink, like,
like
wishing it was
stress.
alcohol. Like,
Pulling his collar.
No, I barely drink.
Getting all hot and
So,
bothered over
tug
there.
on his leash.
We are kind of getting into the end of the podcast a little bit
Yeah.
here, just because I have to go to bed for work soon. But let's get into like your
Whoosh.
drawings. So you do a lot of drawings. Where can we find that to see if, like, let's say, do you sell these as well?
I used to do commissions, and I still do commissions every so often. I post a lot of my art on my Twitter and a lot of personal, like thoughts and stuff. And I also retweet lewd furry shit. So, you know.
Well, is there a lot of money in that, too? Like, it's like when you draw this stuff, you can make a fuck ton of money.
You can if you're really dedicated, but I'm one of those ladies that's got like a 9-to-5 job. I work 40 hours a week. And I probably, if I had the determination, I could make a big industry out of it, but I just don't have the energy because I want to have a personal life too.
Right.
And drawing is pretty time consuming if I'm personally, and this is just a Kenna problem, and this is something a lot of artists struggle with, but it's, becoming a good artist is what a lot of people strive for, but becoming an efficient artist is very difficult because that's adding the complexity of learning a new thing on top of being better at it.
Yeah.
And I draw mostly for leisure now. And I've made enough money to pay off a credit card bill or two off of my art. And it's less about the money for me because I already have an okay financial situation, but I like going onto Twitter. No, I have one even better. So there was this guy I did an icon for, right? And that was just like his Twitter icon.
Right.
And this British dude who also had a crux for Sona, kind of like mine, but obviously his looked different. Big gamer dude. He asked me to draw his Fursona, and he paid me money to do it, and I did it, and it was a really cute picture, and he loved it so much that he immediately changed it to his picture for everything, which was incredibly endearing for me. And then about a year later, he went on some gaming tournament that was broadcast live, and his name was like on the screen, and next to his name on live television was my art that I drew for him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just
You
like
never told me about that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like just seeing your work in a place that you didn't put it, and it's just somebody like repping your work because they love it so much.
Blows you away. We're artists, Cody and I, so we have this similar experience. Like it's quite wild and surreal.
It is, and I think if I could make a career out of doing art, it's complicated because it is very difficult to be your own boss. But if I could effectively navigate doing that, of course I'd make lots of money doing it. Like I would so make that my living and not my current job where I deal with pissed off people all day.
Yeah, like I was saying before.
Right into the mic, Zephyr.
Yeah. I was talking earlier about how it furry art is like, there's different tiers of like quality and stuff, and a lot of that is because there's like a flood of medium quality art on places like E621 because anyone can post that there, and so it's just like a flood of content.
It really is, and
the market's flooded, sort of.
And to distinguish yourself in the fandom, to distinguish yourself like in the fandom, I think there is a little bit of like personal marketing that plays into it. Like, that's a 2-color icon I did for somebody who had a tapir, tapir for Sona, and I had a lot of fun drawing that one. That was one of my favorite characters to draw just because of the cigarette and like the missing tooth. But it's just about like selling art is difficult because it's not anything people need. Right. And you have to do an awful lot of convincing to get people to part with their money. And
that's a weird way to look at it.
I fucking hate selling art. I don't like doing it. I don't do it anymore. I'm like, if somebody really wants to pay me $200 for something that's not worth $200, I'll take your money and I'll tell you you're dumb the whole time. But other than that, no thanks. Like, I don't really. I
take art commissions.
The only commission that I've taken recently was from Luke's cousin, and I'm very appreciative towards that dude supporting us and stuff like that. So I was like, I'll do a commission for you and make it reasonably priced. But Other than that, I'm just like, no thanks, not interested.
It's stressful.
Hit me up, $50 to design. I got you. I got bills to pay.
He makes really good art too. It's tattooable also. I think
Yes.
the stuff that he draws, like an actual
Cool.
tattoo artist could do it and has done it several times. A lot of things that people draw not tattooable, and people that aren't tattoo artists draw designs for people that
Thanks, Cody.
and then tattoo artists get a hold of that design. They're like, there's no fucking way I could do that. Pat's designs are 100% tattooable, I think.
And they're 100% all right.
And
Thanks, guys.
they're pretty okay.
For you to say that in the midst of all this, I just gotta say I love you both.
This really is a heartwarming episode of the Bastard Sermon.
It really has been. You know, you two are really sweet and like fun to have on. Thank you for coming on and just being open about this shit.
Yeah.
It really is eye-opening, and you know, it's really interesting to have like a good idea of like what's going on with that community.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking with us about everything and like even the crazy shit. Like we got into the porn aspect of it. You didn't flinch for a moment.
It's
I really
worth-
appreciate it.
It's okay to joke about.
just
stuff
my
like
life.
this because you know, yeah, exactly. It's just a thing. It ain't nothing but a thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Really quickly before we get off of here, another artist that we need to bring up is our sponsor, Kneel to No One. That's if you want to check him out, it's Anthony Tank Mansfield. He's been on the podcast a bunch of times. He makes this awesome glasswork that we have right here that's probably washed out. It's
totally washed out.
KNEELTONOONE.com. Fuck you, Cody.
Exactly. You can go to that website and I'll go fuck myself, and you can get some great glassware, T-shirts, enamel pins, and who knows, maybe he'll custom make you a commission piece of lowbrow furry style hentai artwork,
Yeah.
and you can like some big.
I hope he
There's
draws
some money in
bulldog
it.
cocks.
There's
Yeah.
Sign
fucking
me
money
up.
in it.
Send him some dollars. See what he's willing to do. I'm guaranteeing you he'll do it. Maybe he's not going to post it on the
We
Facebook.
guarantee he'll draw you hentai.
Yeah,
Awesome.
without a doubt. 100% guaranteed. Don't take us to court, please,
Yeah,
Mansfield.
please.
He sounds like a good man.
He's
a great
coming on
guy.
next week, actually.
Oh,
So we
sweet.
get to talk to him a little bit about it. We'll ask him
Nice.
in person, like, would you draw me hentai?
You have to ask furry porn specifically.
Specifically for porn.
Show him all the stuff you saw there.
Let me ask you, so you guys, do you do commissions?
I don't do
Say
them
yes.
at this time. Well,
Just say yes. Where can they go? Tell our listeners.
Okay,
We
fine.
want
I
one.
get commissions.
All right, where at?
We want one.
How do they get one? We all
Well,
want
just
one.
hit me up on Twitter, or that Fur Affinity is still active.
How do you get there?
furaffinity.net/user/KennaStars.
Spell Kenna Stars for the listener.
KENNASTARS. I think I didn't fuck that up.
And they can message you through there or through Twitter.
Yeah, and Twitter is Kentaboo.
Spell that for the listeners.
Kentaboo is my name, KENTABOOBOO. Just two boos.
And if you want to get in touch with me, I don't do art. I do writing things.
What kind of writing?
God, I wish we had more
Fiction,
time.
fantasy.
You two
I
should-
know.
Would you two want to come back on sometime?
Maybe, yeah. There's
'Cause we-
like,
Hell yeah.
let's get
there's a
deep
lot
into it.
more. There's a lot more to talk
Might
about.
be a couple
definitely.
months down the road.
I feel like
but
we barely
Yeah.
scratched the surface.
did.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about what your guys' favorite animals are. Anyway,
We haven't gotten to the part where we make your fursonas yet.
at Zephyromatic,
fuck,
which is
Let's
at
do that before we
sign
leave.
Pat, how much time do we have?
ZEPHY.
Sorry, say it one more time.
one more time.
Oh, sorry. At Zephyromatic, which is at sign ZEPHYROMATIC.
And they can get writing pieces from you?
Sure.
Like what kind of writing pieces? Really quickly. Something that they...
Usually fiction, but I'll also do. I'm not above writing smut.
Okay. Go get a nice fiction or smut fiction.
Want to talk
piece.
about how eloquently
I didn't
your
see that Tarantino
body
film.
transformed into the giant dog dick.
Eloquent.
I want to do this
Love it.
animal thing real quick.
First
I
one.
love
Yes.
it.
Yeah, really, really quick.
We'll
I'd
end
be a
on
shark.
this.
Shark for sure.
Shark persona. That's good.
Hell yeah.
For
Cody.
fucking sure.
My favorite. Damn, man. I don't know my favorite. Probably like a... When I was a kid, I liked the Black Panther. Like just
Okay.
a nighttime looking panther. I always
Yeah.
thought those looked super cool.
Ooh, a Black
Yeah.
Panther with like a battle jacket on.
Yeah.
Hell
that'd be
yeah.
rad.
Hell yeah.
Fuck
What
yeah, I
about you,
like this
Luke?
already.
What?
Luke, what animal would you be?
Dog, naturally.
Tree frog.
Tree frog. I can
frog.
see that.
Dog, naturally.
You are a human tree frog already. You can't go with what you already have. All right, that's not fair.
All right, so for Sona, what do you think?
I love that idea.
Sounds like you guys have personas. Congratulations.
Okay.
You're a furry podcast now.
Perfect.
Sick.
Well, what are fur names though? Come on, you gotta.
Yeah, you said you were
Do you
gonna
have
give
any
us fur
clever fur
names.
names?
I'm not gonna hold your hand the whole way.
You gotta
Come
Alright.
up with it on your own.
You got to pick
Alright,
a name
that's
that
fair.
means something to you.
Yeah. Okay, good idea.
I happen to name my fursonas after random locations for
Yeah.
some reason. And she
Or a song by Red Hot.
I'm gonna
Chili
name my
Peppers.
character Jake Jism. What do you
Jake
think?
Chisholm?
Should.
Jake Jism Balls.
Jake Jism sounds like a porn star, dude.
He's probably
Sounds
got
like
a
a
giant
Maybe
cock.
Maybe that's
Why
Cody's
can't I be a
persona.
furry porn star, dude?
Yeah.
You never know. There's furry.
Someone has to make all that art.
There's the transgender furry community.
Yeah.
There's the furry alt-right community.
Yeah.
There's the
The
furry baking
neo-fur
community.
tea.
Why can't there be the furry porn community, Luke? All right. Are you transphobic or something? All right. Can we end on that? That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
we can end on that.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, you two, for coming on out. Hopefully have you back on soon.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
Bye,
thanks for
everybody.
having us.
Thank you for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.
Next week with Mansfield.